Okay, so I just spent like an hour trying to figure out the audio for OBS Studio. um, Wearing a headset now. That way, for sure, there should not be any audio echo from the speakers going into my microphone. So everything that I'm hearing from my computer will go through the headphones, and then I'll talk through the microphone. Um, I just in my testing, it seems like the built-in microphone for my laptop sounds better than this headset. Um, and also, I definitely posted some videos to YouTube where I was on Ubuntu and I was recording in OBS with audio playing out of my speakers and using the built-in microphone, and there was no echo. So, like, as far as I could tell, all the settings were the same. It just like started doing the echo, which it does make sense, that a microphone would pick up the sound at the same time that the OBS is recording the sound. So it's like, overlapping the audio and making an echo. Um, but there should be a way to eliminate that sound, and I just can't figure it out. And I'm not going to spend any more time on it right now. And I realize that's why you see a lot of people using headphones when they when they make YouTube videos and they're showing stuff off on their computer. So um, also got some congestion going on. Yesterday, ate way too many carbs. We were at church and we're feasting, so uh, there was definitely unlimited rice for everybody, among other things. Um, so yeah. Also, um, I talked to a guy who wants me to set up a website for him. Um, and before I get started on that, basically, I'm just gonna try to go through the rest of the Spring Boot tutorial as fast as I can. Um, I think for the website that the guy wants is basically a way to show off his. He has some like he's an artist, and he has some jokes that are like comic book style jokes. He actually has a book and that he's planning on selling. So he wants a way to feature the book on this website, but he doesn't want it just to be like a website for the book. He wants kind of like it to be like a dual purpose website where uh, it's a kid's book, so he wants kids to be able to submit like little kids jokes, like knock knock who's there kind of stuff, or just little corny kids jokes. He wants people to be able to submit jokes. He wants an admin to be able to review those and approve them. Um, it's going to need a login system in some way for like because it's dealing with kids. It's going to need parents to be able to um, they'll have to be able to at least say that they're a parent, the parent of the child, and they're uh, over 18, obviously, because they're a parent in most cases. Um, and that way, it's not just kids going on there without permission from their parents or whatever, but they'll be able to submit a joke for approval. If it's approved, it'll get put onto the site, and then other users can rate the joke and leave comments. Um, so I'm thinking for the site, at least on the front end, it's going to have like uh, probably like a main landing page. Um, I don't know if that will. Maybe it'll be like more of a generic landing page that will, and then the site will have different sections, like one for the book that will kind of give like a little teaser, just some information about the book, where it may probably what it looks like and where they could buy it. Um, and then another section where these jokes will be displayed, and then another section where people can submit jokes. And probably there'll be more after that, probably like an about page, some information about the author slash artist. of the book. Um, and other than that, I haven't thought too much about the front end, but I think that's kind of the basic outline for the front end. And then for the back end, I should be able to do exactly what I'm doing now, use a Spring Boot back end that will handle the users, like logging in and registering and stuff like that. Also, I think the database could hold the jokes, but I think I also wanted to hold the image assets. So, like, uh, in the book, there are jokes that are comics that are probably going to get those in some sort of image file. Um, but I want him to be able to have the ability to add, new jokes that are images as well as new jokes that are um, text only. Um, so I'm thinking I'll even have like the static images stored in the database rather than just like in a assets or resources folder, which is I think how it's normally done. Like if you don't plan on having like a dynamic or a site where you're like adding new stuff. So basically, the database will hold the jokes, um, and the front end will display them to the page by getting those from the database. So um, anyway, that'll be probably the next video or next after the next couple videos. But um, let me get this Hall of Mirrors off of here. I probably should have done that already. And we got Dan back up here. I think the video is about where it should be. I'll have to figure out where I am at. And yeah, sorry if you can hear this like noise from the headphones, but it is what it is for right now. Eventually, I'm gonna get a mic. I'm kind of wishing I still had my Shure SM7B and some nice headphones. Um, okay. It's amazing how you take a day off and then you like forget what you were even doing. Like where was I? So I believe I was setting up Docker. Um, but I can't remember how far I'd gotten with that. I think I had downloaded something. I definitely had. I put this in the POM file. So this Docker Compose dependency is here. Let's go to the video. This should be sounding at least normal without an echo now.
About one more kind of abstraction at the port number. Now you could jump through some hoops and run some commands and find out
I think
at run.
I think I'd done this part. I'm gonna take him off screen. All right, that's in the compose.yaml.yml. Still don't understand why this is .yml, but then on Spring Initializer, it's YAML.
Runtime, what port this is using, but I want to be very specific here. So I'm going to say, hey, this is 5432 is going to map to 5432 on my local machine.
That's right there.
Now, when we use our database tools, we can connect to the database using that port. So with all of this in place, I think what I want to do is just restart the application, see if we have any errors.
Okay, I need to put that in theater mode too. Okay. Application, run. Oh yeah, for sure there's errors. Because we don't have Docker set up, it looks like. stdir status something. I hear someone at my door. Hold on a second. Okay, had to get my son started on his schoolwork. Um, so, um, over here, we have, it's saying process exit exception, Docker version format, client version. I assume because we don't have Docker set up. I'm just guessing. So let's bring up the video.
Oh, and we do because Docker Desktop is not running. So let's make sure Docker Desktop is running on our.
Okay. I need Docker Desktop, which I don't think, do not think that I did that. Okay, I need an account. How do we want to do this? I think I want to do this manually. All right, we'll do the CAPTCHA. Gotta find all the bridges and motorcycles. Man, they ask for so much. Bus. Okay. Don't have to like verify my email. What? Why? Why can I not type in here? Oh, it's asking me for a new password again. What? Why? That's wild. Apparently Bitwarden didn't save the password. This is not the email. This is the email. I have to like reset my password again already. Oh man. I have to reset the password. I'm gonna do this on the other screen. Do your work, sir. Oh man, so I don't know why my Bitwarden is not saving the password. Just do it myself. Okay. We should be good now. Okay. We're logged in. We need Linux. Did I do this already? I don't think I did. All right, so I think we want this. I should have a GNOME. I believe I have GNOME terminal. Okay. I didn't even really need to create that account, did I? Yeah, so let's run these commands. Sudo. Oops. Apt get update. I don't even use the Malvad browser. It takes the longest to update. I should probably get rid of that. Sudo apt-get install. I'm just gonna copy this.
You said on Monday I would write my paper.
That's what I just told you to do. What is the problem here? Why is this not working? So maybe I don't have the GNOME terminal. Sudo apt install GNOME terminal. I do have it, which is what I'm using now, I guess. Set up the repository. Okay, so okay, I'm skipping steps. That's why. So I'm gonna follow these. Let me actually switch. I'm gonna switch this over to this side. Already did the update. Sudo apt-get install CA certificates curl. I already did that the other day, I guess. Sudo install -m. Did this for something. Did I just do this already? Is that why? D. This is looking very familiar. It's only been one day. Key ranks. Sudo chmod a+r /etc/apt/keyranks/docker asc. Oops. Oops. What? Why not? Why not? Oh, because I skipped this. Because I skipped this. Now this one. Why are you sitting here staring at me? Do your work.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
If mommy told you to do that first, you do that first.
What? Okay.
I'm gonna copy this too. I think this is all one. Is that all one thing? It looks like it is. Just check my levels. It looks like I can talk. Yeah, I can talk this quiet. Okay. Oh, oh boy. So I actually need to. Oops. Um, I think I need to put the actual code name. What is the code name of this? I forgot. Not bad. Okay. I think this needs to say not bad. Okay. I hope, because I'm not really reading this all the way. Hopefully, hopefully, what? Oh boy. Sources. Okay. I just needed to say code name. So that's what I just did, right? Okay. What? Oh, wait, whoa, what just happened? Whoa, okay. All right, this is working. The Docker client contacted the Docker daemon. Docker daemon. Is it daemon or daemon? Pulled the hello world image from the Docker hub. Create a new container from that image, which runs the executable that produces the output you are currently reading. To generate this message, Docker contacted the daemon. The daemon pulled the hello world image from Docker Hub, created a new container from the image, which runs the executable that produces. Well, okay, it created a container from the image that runs the executable that produces the output you are currently reading. The Docker daemon streamed that output to the Docker client, which sent it to your terminal. All right. I don't want to run a new Ubuntu container, or I'm already on Ubuntu, right? I guess I could see why somebody might want to do that. All right, so I should be good. Should be good. All right. Let's put that back over there. Hope I'm not talking too quiet. Not talking to you, sir. We need this one.
On our local machine to make this work. Again, if you don't have Docker Desktop, no big deal. You can go ahead and set up an actual Postgres database and connect to that. That's fine. But now you can see it says using Docker Compose file. It sees some services and it goes.
Okay. All right. So I was asking ChatGPT if this would automatically, because where's this one? So this should automatically do the stuff it needs to do with Docker. It should create the database for me. It is not doing that. Permission denied. Permission denied. Why? All right, so I got to figure out. He just said Docker's running.
Compose.yaml file. So I'll just copy that and I'm going to create a new file in this. You can go ahead and buy the application. Is the image. I'm going to leave this how it is, but you may want to change it. So the image is saying, hey, grab whatever the latest Postgres image is. Great for whatever we're doing right here today. But if you're on a team and other people are pulling this down, we want to make sure everybody's on the same version. So you may want to specify a version here. In this case, I'm going to set a database of runners for now the one port, which port you're using, but on the containers, I jumped, but I want to be very specific here. For next, let's make sure Docker Desktop is running a port. So with all of this in place, I think what I want to do is just restart the application, see if we have any errors.
So his error literally says this, is it running? And mine doesn't say that. Let me just test it again. Yeah, here. This is asking, is it running? Mine doesn't say that. It says permission denied.
Oh, and we do because Docker Desktop is not running. So let's make sure Docker Desktop is running on our local machine to make this work. Again, if you don't have Docker Desktop, no big deal. You can go ahead and set up an actual Postgres database and
I don't want to do that
connect to that. That's fine.
right now.
But now you can see it says using Docker Compose file. It sees some services and it went ahead and fired those up. So that's up and running. Now we have a database connection to a PostgreSQL database, and we've actually read 10 runs from JSON data and saved it to a database. So let's test that out before we.
Okay, so Dan's not going to help us with figuring this out. We need to figure it out another way. So first, I'm going to take this and I'm going to Google it. I don't think we need that open. Okay. Oh, I remember. And I haven't watched you guys' videos in so long. Network Chuck, he did a video on how to do this, I think. I'm pretty sure I remember this group thing. Okay. Although these commands are completely unfamiliar. Can we do this? And can we do this? Okay. Get ent group docker. Okay. Add user. Sudo user mod. Don't know what age he is. My user is Andama. Okay. Log out and log back in. How? Let's just try this. Yep. Sudo system control. I think that's what that means. Daemon. Love. Okay. So maybe this is good now. No. Still denied. It's talking about a version. Get version. Let me. Cannot do that. All right, let's go back to this. The question is, do I feel like using Docker would not be used on the website in the first place. I think we should actually ask ChatGPT that before we even keep going. Is Docker deployed on websites to run databases? Databases, or are databases just stored on the website server? Because I feel like if you have like a hardware server, like whether it's like you're doing it in your own facility or you're renting out space, like you would run Docker on that machine. I don't know if I'm going to be doing that on like say something like Bluehost, right? Okay. If I am hosting, if I am using a website that is hosted on something like Bluehost, should I just upload the database itself? Yeah, so this is probably, they probably have like the cheapest plan set up for whatever, I don't know if it's Bluehost or GoDaddy or one of those, but they have probably like whatever the cheapest option is, the guy who wants a website built. They're probably something like this. I do not yet know what setup they have, but I assume it is one of the major hosting sites and one of the cheapest plans Yeah, that sounds familiar. Okay. 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 Um, do I want to do that with a wizard? Maybe. Maybe. We probably only need one database, I would think. Possibly two. Like, possibly a separate one for the users, like login info, and then the other one will be storing like the jokes. That way it can separate things that could be potentially sensitive. Okay. Here's what I think I'm going to do for this part. I think instead of Postgres, because I just want to hurry up and finish this thing. Real quick, though, I do want to know. Okay. Yes. Let me see. Which one do you need? What color? Do you see this right here? This is not screwed on here all the way. So it's making it longer. You see that? You just look. You use your senses. In that case, your eyes. You got to learn to troubleshoot, sir. You got to figure out if it's not working, why is it not working? But sometimes, instead of solving the problem, you might want to, instead of fixing whatever's not working, sometimes you just got to take a different approach entirely. Which I might do in a second here. Okay. Only root in the Docker user group. Make sure I did not do that. I had a chmod. Where'd it go? That wasn't it. I remember Network Chuck talking about this. Okay. So this has to do with user groups. How to list user groups in terminal. Git and group. Oh, look at that. I'm in a group called Endama. I'm not in a Docker group, even though I thought I put myself. So this command is wrong. Come on. Ubuntu, really? They make it so hard to do this. It's another thing that Windows does better. Okay. Cancelo, focus on your work. I'm not talking to you. Git and group. What is this? This is weird. All right, let's go here. Sudo group add Docker. It already exists. Okay. Git end. So this is Git. It's going to tell me who's in it. How do I, wait, am I supposed to? Oh, that's the output. That says 984. I'm confused. I'm confused about this. But is it supposed to be 999? Is that the permissions? What is the 999 and what is the 984? And what is this awk? Awkward? What is that? What is awk? Just gonna copy this. I already did this. I already did that. Log out of the previous session and re-enter the new session after adding user. That must be the output. Why is this 999? what all that means, but it's showing the user in the group, or users, I think. Some kind of formatting. Print $4, I guess. Apply. I don't know that I did that. I thought I did this too. Sudo system control restart Docker service sudo system control status Docker service started. How do I? Is it Control C? Yes. Okay. Enabled. I can't actually read that, can I? What do we see here? Let's see. Enabled. Enabled. We see active. There's a group. Now we've executed the Docker commands space with appropriate privileges. Okay. Let me just do this. Can't even see all that. Why? Why? This is different than what they're showing. It's different. I don't think I want to do that. Okay. What is my user here? Is it the same? It is. All right. I don't think I need to learn this right now. Feel like I need a whole nother tutorial on setting it up in this particular use case or a similar use case. Okay. Now I did this with MySQL already before. So I think maybe that's what I'm going to do. We'll take a quick break. I'll be back. Okay. So what? Why? So now I've messed up my MySQL through all the things that I've just done. Oh boy. How do I shut off Docker? Oh boy, Docker has AI built into it. Huh? Oh, there's a Docker Compose here. Hold on a second. Yeah, there's like a whole lot to learning Docker. It's kind of crazy that Dan would suggest using Docker or even Postgres without like explaining how to start it up. I mean, I know he's probably just trying to make it simple for what he's trying to teach, but I would think anybody that's learning from his tutorial would not know how to do that. Or most. Maybe not though. Okay. Uh Docker stop. Okay. How do I get um Docker exit? No. Hold on. Docker help. Install port mappings. No. Hold on a minute. Huh. Let's switch to easy mode. Uh, um, personal. What? I mean, I definitely created an account already. Why is this button not working? Why? Hold on a minute. What is even happening right now? What is this? Oh, okay. Sign in, sign out. Initialize pass. Learn how. Whoa. Okay. Maybe this is why I've been having a problem. GPG. I should really be reading this, huh? Generate key. Should really be reading this. Make it so hard. Okay. Not this one. This is a little confusing. This is the email I used to create the account. Okay. Oh boy. All right, let's. Can I move the? Oh man. Um. Okay. I need a way to do this. One digit or special character. Okay. This is interesting. Didn't really give me time to do that. Um. Public. So hopefully I'm not. Maybe I need to do this off the screen because I need to do this again because I don't know if that is something I don't want people to see. I'll do this again. Okay, gotta do this again. All right, so I have I have some new keys. Okay, pass, initialize your key. Okay, so your generated GPG ID public key, which I think, I don't know which one it is. Oh, okay, it's this one. So maybe it did not show any sensitive stuff to the screen. Okay. Pass, initialize, and this key. Oops. I need to do that again. Crap. Copy, paste. Oh, it still did it. That's all right. I'll just manually delete that extra stuff. Okay, so it should be good. You can sign in and pull your private images. All right, let me just clear that off the screen. No. Docker pull and was I supposed to put? No, that's probably fine. Private image. Okay. Why is it taking so long? Error. Okay. It didn't ask me to. Repository does not exist. Why? Okay. Okay. Now what? There we go. Still. Why? Now I wonder. Oh, look at this. It's working now. It's doing a lot of stuff. Okay. So I don't know why MySQL is not working. But this appears to be working. I'm not trying to go MySQL D. I never used to do that. All right, one thing at a time. Let's see what Dan.
Get the H2 console. Now, how can we go ahead and look at our database? If you're not using IntelliJ Ultimate, don't worry. There are plenty of free, great tools out there to connect to a database and manage them on Mac, on Windows, Linux, etc. So go ahead and find something like that.
Find
If
something.
you're in IntelliJ Ultimate, you can just click this database icon. You can go here and say, I want to add a new database, and I'm going to say this is Postgres, and this is on localhost. Again, 5432, that's the important part. The username was Dan. The password was password. The database was runners, right? And that looks good. So now that's the JDBC URL, the connection string that we need to connect to the database. Let's see if this works.
How do we know that? I guess the only thing that would, that should be the thing. That should be the thing. This cat. The cat is lonely. Let me get the cat. What do we need to do now?
URL, the connection string that we need to connect to the database. Let's see if this works. We'll go ahead and say, okay, come in here. We see that there is a table. There is a run table, and we see that we have our 10 runs in there. So this is really great to see. So we have our connection to our database. Now, I want you to notice something here because we've declared some properties in here, but I don't have any of those properties set up here in my application.properties. That is because we don't want you to have to duplicate these properties, right? We have a database, we have a username, we have a password, we have a port. We don't need to duplicate these across both files. What happens is Spring uses something called the connection details interface behind the scenes, and there are some implementations of this, one of which is being able to create a JDBC connection, and it will read this at runtime and fill in those properties and put them into a property source at runtime for you. So it knows how to construct a JDBC URL, it knows how to get the username and password, etc. So that's really nice that we don't have to kind of duplicate those properties. So that is Docker Compose. Let's talk about one more kind of abstraction at the
Okay.
options here. You can come in here and
Wait a minute.
now I want to make a couple changes to this, but yes, now we want your machine or start using the username was Dan. Let's see if this works. We'll go ahead and say okay. Was manage them. SQL database. Set up an actual Postgres database and or whatever. Say, hey, this is 5432 these tools. All of this in place. I think what I want to do is just when we do, because Docker Desktop is work. Again, if you don't have Docker Desktop, no big deal. You can go ahead and set up an actual Postgres database and connect to that. That's fine. But now you can see it says using Docker Compose file. It sees some services and it went ahead and fired those up. So that's up and running. Now we have a database connection to a PostgreSQL database, and we've actually read 10 runs from JSON data and saved it to a database. So let's test that out before we add the H2 console. Now, how can we go ahead and look at our database? If you're not using IntelliJ Ultimate, don't worry. There are plenty of free great tools out there to connect to a database and manage them on Mac, on Windows.
Okay, so what do we need? Free database. Let me ask ChatGPT this. I am using IntelliJ Community and it does not have a free way to examine a Postgres database? If not, what are some ways I can see if my CRUD operations are working? Why? PG admin. It's official, okay? It's official. I can use command line tools, but I'm using Docker. Okay. I'm not going to do that right now. Let's go ahead and do the PG admin. I need to check my messages here too. Let me pause this for a second. Okay. Just put her outside. Just put her out there. Be quiet. So this is Docker. Really? APT. Do I want to run it in a container? I don't think I do I? Or I don't. I guess I don't really know enough to know if I should. Very confusing. Where's the numpad? Here we go. Okay. Wow, fingers are fat. Okay. What is happening? What just happened? Yes. Good Lord. Okay. What? Why did that happen? No, I don't want that. Oh, Control A goes to the back. Okay. No. How do I do that? Good Lord. I just want this. Oh man. Okay, let's try some. Of course. Okay. Sudo apt install pg admin. Yes. I probably should have done desktop, huh? It's a pretty slow download. I noticed that you're not doing your schoolwork. Just do your work, Chancellor, not now. Okay. So now what? Now what? I don't remember installing this. What is this? That's what I was looking for. Let's close things that we don't need. Great. We'll look at you in a second. I just want to clean some things up here. We still got the system monitor going. Do not. Not too crazy. Okay. So how do we use this? Okay. Guess this is what we need. Oh, here we go. 5432. Okay. It's called runners. So what do I put here? Localhost. Is that all I put? Password is password. User is Anthony. This. Okay. It looks like something's happening. Wow. How do I see? What is this? Some stuff. Why is it red? Okay. 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 All right. Pause. Okay. Went and got myself some coffee. Now, let me go back to the video real quick.
Linux, etc. So go ahead and find something like that. If you're in IntelliJ Ultimate, you can just click this database icon. You can go here and say, I want to add a new database, and I'm going to say this is Postgres, and this is on localhost. Again, 5432, that's the important part. The username was Dan. The password was password. The database was runners, right? And that looks good. So now that's the JDBC URL, the connection string that we need to connect to the
JDBC.
database. Let's see if
No.
this works. We'll go ahead and
JDBC.
say okay. Come in
JDBC.
here. We see that there is a table. There is a run table, and we see that we have our 10 runs in there. So there is a run table, and come in
Table,
here.
run.
We see that there is a table. There is a run table, and we see that we have our 10 runs in there. So this is really great to see. So we have our connection to our data.
All right. So how do I see that in here? Why is there two databases? Do I really have to like find a tutorial on how to do this? I just want to see if there's a table and where would that be? All right, I'm gonna have to. What is this thing called again? It's called pgadmin. How do I see my tables in pgadmin? Logged in. I connected. Servers. Why is there to expand the database you selected? Schemas. Table under schemas. Schemas. Tables. Ah, okay. Run. How do I, what do I do? Okay, so that's a good sign, right? Oops. Oh boy, all right. Expand the tables. View table data. Right click on a table. View edit data. All rows. Okay. So the query was select from, what does the star mean? I need to know that. So basic, right? I should know that. What does the star mean in select star from? So it means all. All columns. So star always means all columns, or can it mean rows? Okay. Okay. All right, I'm gonna put Dan on my other screen.
Database. Now, I want you to notice something here because we've declared some properties in here, but I don't have any of those properties set up here in my application.properties. That is because we don't want you to have to duplicate these properties, right? We have a database, we have a username, we have a password, we have a port.
So I still have H2 enabled, which I don't need anymore. But it should be like still working if I wanted to look at it. What was this for? I can't even remember. Actually, this is commented out. This is just not even being used. This is a comment, okay. I forgot what that does already. I think this goes with, it's not even being used. What did Dan,
We
that
don't
cat
we
is so
have it.
annoying right
That
now.
is because we don't want
His is being used. Maybe because he's got ultimate and that has something to do with the built-in database viewing, querying, management, whatever. Maybe that's why.
want you to have to duplicate these properties, right? We have a database, we have a username, we have a password, we have a port. We don't need to duplicate these across both files. What happens is Spring uses something called the connection details interface behind the scenes. And there are some implementations of this, one of which is being able to create a JDBC connection. And it will read this at runtime and fill in those properties and put them into a property source at runtime for you. So it knows how to construct a JDBC URL, it knows how to get the username and password, etc. So that's really nice that we don't have to kind of duplicate those properties. So that is Docker Compose. Let's talk about one more kind of abstraction at the database level. Okay, we're back over here at spring.io. If we go to projects and you go down to Spring Data, this is a really cool project made up of, it has many, many modules underneath of it. You see here, it says Spring Data's mission is to provide a familiar and consistent Spring-based programming model for data access while still retaining the special traits of the underlying data store. So we know that different data stores, different databases have special traits. We kind of keep those underneath the hood, and we're allowed to use some of those special things that different data stores can do. You'll see that there are some features here. So powerful repository and custom object mapping abstractions. This really allows us to define an interface in Spring Data and have it get turned into an implementation at runtime. What this means for you is that you don't have to write all of these CRUD methods out. We saw the JDBC client. I really like the JDBC client. It's nice, it's fluent, it's easy to read,
Good lord.
but I still got to
The cat really wanted attention, and my son's about to feed her, so I just had to get her out of the bedroom there because baby's sleeping.
write all that code to get just some simple CRUD things going on, right? Maybe I want to MVP. Maybe I want to kick something up real fast. I don't want to have to do that for every resource in my application. So Spring Data allows us to kind of bypass some of that and do it for us. Then, when you have special needs, like, hey, I got to find all the runs by location, then you can write these dynamic query derivations from the repository's method name. So you can just write, return to me a list of runs, and we're going to call this method find by run, find by location, and pass a location in, right? So this is really cool. Spring Data has a lot of really powerful concepts. Now, two of the most popular Spring Data projects out there are Spring Data JPA, which is an implementation of the JPA specification, the Java persistence abstraction.
This cat.
And this, underneath the hood, by default uses Hibernate. So you might have heard of an ORM or Hibernate before. That's what Spring Data JPA is doing. Spring Data JDBC actually simplifies a bunch of things by kind of getting rid of some of the things that Hibernate does, and really just allows you to like model your domain objects and use kind of straight SQL that we're used to writing. And it still gives you the power of like repositories, dynamic query derivation, and so on. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on this today. We could really create a whole course on Spring Data and some of the other implementations. In fact, you could create a whole course on just like Spring Data JDBC, right? So what I'm doing here today is I'm just showing you this as an option so that once you get past like the JDBC client and some of the basic stuffs, you know that this is available to you. And you'll probably come across code out there.
Okay.
That's written using Spring Data. And so I just want you to be aware of it as you're getting into it. So from start.spring.io, you would pick something like Spring Data JDBC. You would pick your database, in this case, Postgres. We would pick the Docker Compose support. So if I go look at Explore, again, I'll come back and choose Maven. If I look at Explore here, the starter for this is Spring Boot Starter Data JDBC. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to head back to the IDE. We're going to go over to our pom.xml, and I am going to just put this right here. And we're going to reload Maven, and I'm going to actually stop this for now. And so now we're going to talk about like, what does this do for us? So let's go ahead and look at run and look at our run repository. So right now, this run repository has like all this code in here that we wrote using the JDBC client. So I'm going to actually rename this. So let's say rename JDBC
Wait, what?
client. Sorry, my shift key has been sticking on me lately. I gotta fix that. So JDBC client run repository. That's gonna break some other things, but that's okay. We'll fix that now.
Hold on a minute. Okay. What did he mean by that? Using the Okay. JDBC client. Okay, that's what he means. We used that dependency. Where is it? It's crazy like how much you can forget in such a short time. So we used this to make this repository. The repository is what actually interacts with the database, because like we have the select star from run, select all columns from run. This selects ID title started on, completed on, from run, where the ID equals the ID. So it's selecting each column. I'm a little bit confused why it's not just star, because that would be every column, would it not? Is that not every column? It looks like it to me. Anyway, maybe we, for whatever reason, it's specified. Insert into run. Values, question mark, question mark. Params, list of run.id, run.title, run.start. Okay. So this passes the run in. This tells it tells the JVBC client to plug those into the values there for those columns. These are the values. Yes? Okay. So what he's showing is another way to do it that should be easier, but he's not going to explain it all the way.
So what I'm going to do is create a new one. We're going to call this run repository.
It's annoying.
But this is going to be an interface, not a class. An interface. How is this going to work now? All right. So let's go ahead. We can extend some of the repositories that Spring Data gives us because it's a CRUD repository. For JPA, there's a JPA repository. There's also a list CRUD repository. Now, the arguments that it's taking here is the type and then the ID of that type. So we're creating a repository around the run type. So we have a run already. If we had like a user, if we had equipment, right? Like we could create repositories around all these different types. So the ID type of a run is the integer, right? So now that we have that, that's one piece of the puzzle. The other piece is we have to come into run and we have to mark the integer. We have to say, hey, this particular thing is the ID of our type. So we're saying this is the ID. I'm going to do one more thing, and this is kind of specific thing to run. So we have that. That's one piece of the puzzle. The other piece is we have to come into run, and we have to mark the integer. We have to say, hey, this particular thing is the ID of our type. So we're saying this is the ID. I'm going to do one integer puzzle. The other piece is, so now that we have that, that's mark the integer. We have to say, hey, the other piece is this particular thing is the ID. One more thing, and this is kind of specific to Spring Data JDBC, and that is there's an @version column, and we'll call this integer version. And this is just a way to track whether this is a new type, a new row, or an existing row, to keep it simple, right? So with that, I need to make one more change, and that is to the schema. And I gotta go ahead and say that I need a version, and this is an int. It can be null, so that's okay. Yeah, so that looks good. So now with all of those in place, I haven't done anything. Let's look at this list CRUD real quick. So first off, there's a save all method that will return a list of types, right? There's a find all, which will return a list of those. And then there's a find all by ID. We can also see there's a CRUD repository. So we can save all, find by ID, exists, find all, count, delete, save all, find method.
All right, tell me again, Dan. I wasn't paying attention.
Real quick. So first off, there's a save all method that will return it can be null. So that I need to make one more change, and that is to the schema. And I gotta go ahead and say that I need a version, and this is an int. It can be null, so that's okay. Yeah, so that looks good. So now with all of those in place, I haven't done anything. Let's look at this list CRUD repository real quick. So first off, there's a save all method that will return a list of types, right? There's a find all.
Wait a minute. Did he make that?
Repository. Now with all of those
When
in
did
place, I haven't done anything. Let's look at this list CRUD repository real quick. So
What?
first off,
what? Okay. He's just looking at the class.
There's a save all method that will return a list of types, right?
Where is it? Okay.
There's a find all, which will return a list of those. And then there's a find all by ID. We can also see there's a CRUD repository. So we can save all, find by ID, exists, find all, count, delete, right? So all of these methods are available to us out of the box based on that type, and we don't have to write any of that code, which is really nice. So what this tells me now is if I look at my run controller, I'm pulling in that, okay, so this refactored it. Let's go back to the run repository and see if that breaks anything. So yes, so this needs to be a run repository. So that looks good. So now our create method, we may need to call save instead of create. This is save. And this actually doesn't take in the
How did he wait
DBC
a minute.
and fill in those properties and draw it to compose to database level. Okay, we're back over the object face for you and all the out there as your
Come on, Dan. Wait a minute.
SQL
How did he make that?
repository has like all this code in here that we wrote using the JDBC.
Right. And then he changed it.
So what I'm going to do is create a new one.
New one.
Repos interface. How is this going to work now? All right. So let's go ahead.
When did he
We can
fill all that in?
extend some of the
Okay.
Now the arguments that so we're run already. If we type that and we have to mark the integer, we have to say, hey, this particular thing is the ID of our kind of version. Way to track whether the command list of and all of
Let's go.
so that looks great.
Change the run controller around.
So now bring data, restart.
Now,
we
okay.
haven't written any logic here. Let's go ahead and see if we can restart our application. So again, looking at that compose.yaml file. All right, now something interesting happened here. It says not loading runs from JSON data because the collection contains data already. Remember, we had in our JSON loader, we had this, hey, if the run repository.count, now the run repository.count method is using the new repository that uses Spring Data. There's a count method in there. So it'll count how many rows there is. Is there 0 rows? If there's 0 rows, go ahead and read from the JSON and save those. If not, hey, we've already got rows in there. Because remember, now we're using Postgres. This is not resetting every single time that we restart the application. So if we were to go into our database again, look at our table, we'd still see our 10 runs, right? So that's interesting. The other part is, yeah, if we go to the terminal and let's just clear this and HTTP IE, so 8080/API/runs. Oh, we got a little error. Prepared statement has a bad SQL grammar. That's okay. We like errors. Let me look over here. This is a little bit hard to read, so let's find out what's going on here. Okay, so bad SQL grammar, select run, is title, miles, version, run. With cause column run.version does not exist. Okay, so what happened is probably the schema didn't get rewritten that second time when we added version. So let's just go ahead and come to this database and I'm going to drop this table. Right. So now if we restart the application, it should see that that table doesn't exist and go ahead and add it. And now it added those 10 there. So now let's go ahead and refresh this and make sure that it has the version, which is null. Okay. Right. So now that looks like it's working. Let's go ahead and check our terminal again and go to 8080. There we go. Now we have our 10 runs in the system. So cool. I want to show you one more thing with Spring Data. Again, I just love geeking out over this stuff. So one of the things that we've done is add all of this like custom or CRUD functionality. But what if we wanted to add some custom functionality? What if we wanted to say, hey, give me a list of runs and I want you to find all by location and then pass in the location that you want to find all by. Actually,
fix that, Dan. Yes. Fix that.
All by. And then as you can see, we also get IntelliSense. This is based on the type that we're working with. So you could find all by completed on after. And you could start to chain these together. You could say, find me all by location and by miles greater than. So I want to find all my outdoor runs greater than 5 miles. You can do that. You can start to chain all these together. Now, I will say, once you get into like, if you start chaining 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different things, there's probably some better ways that we can do it, but that's okay. So I'm going to say find all by location, and I'm going to pass in the string location, and then I could just go into my controller and create a custom method for this. So I could say, yeah, that looks good, get mapping, and I can say, list of run, find by location, path variable, string location, return, find all by location. That looks pretty good. Let's see if we can restart our application and do that. So now what I would do is go to the out of the box. So I think that's where we're going to wrap up our database section. I hope you learned a lot in this section. We started off by like kind of replacing our in-memory collection with an H2 embedded database. We talked about, connection strings and all those things. We talked about how to use the JDBC client to get data in and out of our H2 database. And then we moved on and we replaced our H2 database with a PostgreSQL database using Docker, using a Docker Compose support in Spring Boot 3.1. And we finished it up by taking a look at Spring Data. So I hope you learned a lot in this section. I had a lot of fun. But with that, it's time to move on to the next module. In this module, I want to take a look at REST clients. Now, we built out our REST API, and we've talked to a database to get some data. But what you'll find is often in organizations, in applications, they're not just standalone applications, huge monolithic applications. Sometimes we're dealing with microservices where this particular application is dealing with one thing, and maybe to get data about, say, a user, it has to reach out to another service in the organization. The question is, how do you talk to that other service? One such way is by using a REST client. So here we're in the Spring documentation. You can see the Spring framework provides the following choices for making calls to REST endpoints. Now, I'll give you just a really quick history lesson so you understand why there's some options here. So when Spring MVC first came about, the REST template was born, and the REST template was a way to make a client call to another service. The REST template, over time, had issues come up, and hey, I need to be able to do this in this sort of way. So over time, that API grew into the API that it is today. So there are a lot of overloaded methods in the REST template. Well, when Spring Web Flux came along, which is the reactive stack for building web applications or web APIs, they decided to take a look at the client and kind of start from the ground up. And so they built the web client. So the web client is used strictly in the reactive world, but you could use it in Spring MVC apps before because it had a blocking call. So you could say, hey, do this, but this is going to be a blocking call. So the web client was really great. Folks really loved it because it had this nice fluent API. It was easy to understand. There wasn't all these overloaded methods. And so we found that a lot of developers were bringing in the web client into their Spring MVC apps. So from that, the REST client was born. And the REST client is a blocking synchronous client with this nice fluent API. Really easy to use. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take a look at the REST client, and then we're also going to take a look at HTTP interfaces. This is a really nice feature that allows you to talk to another service by just defining an interface and not having to write the low-level implementation to talk to another service. We saw an example of this in the last module, right, with Spring Data. I need some CRUD functionality, but I don't want to write all of it. Just define an interface and let Spring turn it into an implementation at runtime. HTTP interfaces is analogous to that. So let's have some fun here. Now, we don't need to do anything as far as adding more dependencies because with the Spring Web dependency that we chose at the beginning of this course, that will bring in the REST client. And so we have everything we need. So now all we need is another service to talk to. So I fumbled around with this and thought about some different scenarios that we can go through. We could have created another application to do something, maybe to like bring in like a list of locations or something. But I thought I'd just go off a little bit off the path of the runner's application and just use kind of a public API. That way, you don't need another service. This is a public API that anybody can talk to, and you don't need to authenticate against it or anything. So this service is called JSON Placeholder Service. And again, you can go out and test this on your own. You can see, you can go try it. Hey, I want to talk to to-dos. I want to get a specific to-do. You can get it, and it will give you back a to-do.
Okay. So I think for now, that's enough with that tutorial because why is this asking me for this again now? Do I remember it? No, that was wrong. 2 out of 3. Oh man. Oh no. Oh no. Let me just hit cancel for a minute. Do I need to do that? I already forgot what that was even for. This thing is running still, right? I think I'm gonna do this differently. But anyway, should that cat? I'm gonna have to get her. Okay. Let's close this. Let's go ahead and stop this. Let's go ahead and stop this too. Okay. Docker is running. Quit. You don't need that right now. So I think we got the basic idea of this thing down. So we have a way to create endpoints for the front end to reach out to a database and store and receive information. That's basically, this is just for runs. We would need something for, so in this case, it would be jokes, not runs, for this website that we're talking about building. And then there would also be users. And I need something that will store user data also needs to be able to like hash passwords and save those as well. So I need to learn how to do that. So I think what I'm going to do now is switch over to a front end. Let me save this for now. And we're going to do what folder? We need to cd into projects / runners. Okay, we need to do git status. Branches ahead. Git add period. How is that? Am I doing that right? Let me bring up my notepad. Um, yeah, please pet that cat. It's the same ones we've had. Do pet the cat and do your work, please.
That's the same.
This one of them, yes, we have two. We've had two for a while.
I just one.
It's because you need to do your schoolwork, that's why. Did I not? It's because I didn't change anything, really. I never really changed anything, did I? This is why. So I should already have commits. Okay. Git push origin main. I didn't really change any code. I don't think. Last time I did, maybe I never pushed it. I thought I did though. Did I change something on Windows? I hope not. Anyway, it won't be that big of a deal. It won't be that big of a deal. There was nothing to push? I don't know. Confused. It says ahead. Three days ago. It hasn't been 3 days though. How is this? How is this even? Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Huh. Get pull main pull login authorize. Let's go back here. Repository not found. Why? Wait, is it this one? It says we're good. What if I try pushing? Because I don't think I changed anything. Maybe that's why I'm push. There's really nothing to push. Oh no, why did I do that? I didn't want to do that. Oh no. Let me get rid of this. Anyway, I think we're good. Need to start a new project.
Ow! Ow!
Do your work, Jinsella. So what we're gonna do I'm gonna start with the front end of this website, and I want to build it using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I'm gonna start out with that. I need to figure out if I'm gonna use IntelliJ or something else. Maybe I'll use VS Code. And this annoying cat is being annoying. Come here, cat. You're being annoying. Come here. You're so needy. So my plan is to build out the front end, and then I have an idea of what I can do for the back end, and then I'm gonna do the back end. So I'm gonna end this video here and start the next one.